Fractions to decimals using number chips. This is a digital lesson, and this one is Easter themed. The students are going to start on slide 2. And the first thing they're going to do is move these chips into place. These are all movable. And to show what number we multiply times each of these numbers to get 100. And they're going to do this to ease them into the next step, which is to change fractions to equivalent fractions with 100 in the denominator. So to move these chips, you just click and hold on the edge, and they can move them into place. So 50 times 2, 25 times 4, and so on. Now every slide has every number the students need, so if they get to the end of a slide and the numbers aren't working, they know they've made an error somewhere and they need to go back and check. On slide 3, they're going to be converting these fractions to equivalent fractions with 100 in the denominator. So they know that they have to multiply 50 times 2, which means they also have to multiply the denominator times 2 to create an equivalent fraction. So here we're going to get 18 hundredths. Now once this fraction is an equivalent fraction with 100 in the denominator, then they can convert it to a decimal. So here they know they have to multiply by 4 in the denominator and the numerator, and so on. And again, they're going to be using every single number chip. Number 4 is a review of place value. So they're given these instructions. They have to move all of these numbers into the correct place for place value. So placing the 4 in the ones place, the 1 in the tenths place, and so on. Slide 5 shows that to change a fraction with 100 in the denominator to a decimal, one way to do this is to look at the numerator. The number in the ones place will go in the hundredths place of their decimal. So if we place the 9 into the hundredths place, and then we just place the other numbers around it, so the 4 has to go to the left of the 9, and then this number will have to be a 0. Here 3 goes into the hundredths place, the 1 goes right next to the 3, and again this number has to be a 0. Now with 180, that if the 0's in the hundredths place, then the other numbers just go in order. So the next 3 slides, students are just going to be changing these fractions with 100 in the denominator to decimals. So here we know that that 5 has to go in the hundredths place, 4 next to it. So here is the decimal, 45 hundredths. Same thing with the next one. On slide 8, we have numbers, we skipped one here. So slide 7, here we have 5 hundredths. Well, that 5 has to go in the hundredths place. So that means we're going to place the other numbers as zeros. In slide 8, we have numbers where the numerator is greater than the denominator, 331 hundredths. So again, that 1 has to go in the hundredths place. And then we just place the other numbers in order, and so on. Now when they get to slide 9, now they've got to convert these fractions to equivalent fractions with 100 in the denominator. So we know here we have to multiply times 50. If we multiply the denominator times 50, or the numerator times 50, we get 50 hundredths, which we can now convert to a decimal, 50 hundredths. 3/4, again we want 100 in the denominator. That means we're multiplying by 25. That gives us 75 hundredths, and so on. They're going to be doing the same thing on the next 2 slides, just converting fractions to equivalent fractions with 100 in the denominator and then changing them to decimals. Now there are some fractions that can't be converted directly to 100. So I can't multiply 40 times any number to get 100, so I may have to simplify. If I simplify this fraction by dividing by 2, I'm going to get 3/20. Now that I have 3/20, I can convert it to an equivalent fraction with 100 in the denominator. If I multiply numerator and denominator by 5, then I get 1500ths, which I can convert to a decimal. This one, 3/15, I just need to divide the numerator and denominator by 3. I get 1/5. Change that to an equivalent fraction by multiplying by 20. And I get 20/100ths, which I can convert to a decimal. Now in slide 13, it shows that there are some fractions we can't convert to equivalent fractions with 100 in the denominator. So here I could simplify, but then I get 1/8. And 8 I cannot multiply times any number to get 100. So I have to use long division. And they have all the numbers they need for the long division. 8 goes into 10 one time. Multiply, I get 8. So this is also a good review of long division. Subtract, I get 2. These numbers are just going to be zeros. They continue forever. So here we can bring down a 0 and so on. And they'll use every single number. Same thing on slide 14. Now when we get to slide 15, we're going to end up with a repeating decimal. So it's just going to be 6 that repeats. So they've got this movable bar here. Students need to place it above the 6 to show that it repeats, and then fill in the other numbers. And the lesson ends with some vocabulary: terminating decimal, non-terminating decimal, and a repeating decimal. So this is the Easter version of fractions to decimals with number chips.